Montañez doubles the lead.
Look, Aldama could not handle the pass to put it away himself, so he said, you know what, Montañez, I'm going to give it back to you, Raul. With a little back heel flick, just roll over, give it back to him. Montañez ending the attack.
Kleppel now with it. Space inside. Shot. He finds the back of the net. Lansing City up by 1.
We haven't said it yet this season, but what a rocket from Jeremy Kleppel across.
Lyle turning his back, trying to get in front of it and also protect himself as Kleppel finds the side net and gives Lansing.
Nice run out of here, Lansing City. Oh, excellent play. Lansing City with a goal. We were just talking about Ole's ability to make the extra pass, and wouldn't you know it, Lansing City does the same exact thing.
Like, if I'm a fan of Midwest and I watch that game, and we have what I would be, in my opinion, one of the best keepers in the league. And he's not playing the second half.
And to Marco, what we saw, he gave up 6 goals. Lucario was in there for 20 minutes. First half, didn't give up any. And so, that's a huge disparity. Sliding tackle, and if Montez saved that, outstanding effort as well.
Kansas City in the attack, moving it. Blanco, did he make it? He did, says the referee. Goal number 4 for Lansing City. They pull ahead.
There's a pass to Blanco.
Yeah, Blanco got it. Yeah, Blanco touched it. Did you hear me say Blanco puts it away? That's all right. It hit the inside back post. I just have to mention before we move on here, that game was so amazing. You know how many players under the age of 20 were a part of it?
A lot.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of them.
Ethan Castaneda, there's been times where something that he does in the game is exposed, or mistakes and things like that. He was amazing in this game. Last week against Jinga he was, and in this game he played really well, and I think the things that Lansing City have been investing in are starting to pay off. Gomez putting heavy pressure on. And here he is. He finishes. Ole go up by 1.
And when you think about the addition of Daniel De Leon and what he means to this team, we told you that he was the assist leader last season. Goal. Outstanding effort from De Leon to create that. Really good positioning and understanding.
We're ticking down to the final moments. Shoreline City trying to put something together. Aldoni Mendez, he's shielding off Hasevic's toe poke, finds the back of the net. Shoreline's up by 1 with a minute to play.
Wow, Aldoni Mendez just showing his intelligence to shield the ball, to not let Hasevic come through, and just to prevent, Hasevic is pulling at him, just to prevent any.
Mekenzie plays it in, gets it right back. Ramsey Terminini. Weisenhunt's across. Whoa! Hold up! Ramsey Terminini from the circle.
And just like that, Jinga is back in this match. What a shot from Terminini from deep.
My.
Unbelievable. He unleashes just power.
Placement to the upper 90 back post, and the lead is ultimately asking the question, was this the best match of futsal on U.S. soil? From a perspective of an entire 40 minutes of futsal, 2 teams that are playing really good futsal. It's back and forth, but not because it's chaotic.
The intensity just kept increasing.
Yeah.
And it started at kickoff.
Very little drop-off or mistake, and they just keep playing that really good futsal. This is what it's supposed to look like right here. There's no doubt that the environment, it's a part of what makes the game what it is. But I think this is a game that if you took all that away and you just watched the game, it would be amazing still. They're currently down 2. Here's Hindich at the near post. She slots it in. What a placement.
Yeah, fantastic
from number 9,
placement.
Medina Hindic. So take another look.
That's what,
wow.
You know, Ole has to be frustrated with the goalkeeping.
I was pleasantly surprised with how we did. I feel like we did compete to the level that we could. I think you could definitely tell, like, our lack of experience. I think some of our goals were generally just some mistakes, and I think it's like a combination of nerves and just not, you know, having the experience playing at the pace that we were playing. It's really fast, and I think if we tighten that up, like, we could have, you know, stayed really, like, there with them, which is cool. I think for our first game, especially going against a team like Ole, I was really proud of the way we played.
Yeah.
Made a fantastic play. You know, you want to make that pass to the back foot and really give your teammate an opportunity just to slot it home first time, but Aldama was not able to handle it.
Midwest are able to work it up. How about this back post? A pretty goal. Raul Montañez doubles the lead.
Look, Aldama could not handle the pass to put it away himself, so he said, you know what, Montañez, I'm going to give it back to you, Raul. With a little back heel flick, just roll over, give it back to him. Montañez ending the attack.
Kleppel now with it. Space inside. Shot. He finds the back of the net. Lansing City up by 1.
We haven't said it yet this season, but what a rocket from Jeremy Kleppel across.
Lyle turning his back, trying to get in front of it and also protect himself as Kleppel finds the side net and gives Lansing.
Nice run out of here at Lansing City. Oh, excellent play. Lansing City with a goal. We were just talking about Ole's ability to make the extra pass, and wouldn't you know it, Lansing City does the same exact thing.
Like, if I'm a fan of Midwest and I watch that game, and we have what I would be, in my opinion, one of the best keepers in the league, and he's not playing the second half.
And to Marco, what we saw, he gave up 6 goals. You know, Vicario was in there for 20 minutes, first half, didn't give up any. And so, like, that's a huge disparity. Sliding tackle, and if Montez saved that, outstanding effort as well.
Lansing City in the attack, moving it. Blanco, did he make it? He did, says the referee. Goal number 4 for Lansing City. They pull ahead.
There's a pass to Blanco.
Yeah, Blanco
got it.
Yeah,
oh,
Blanco
wow.
touched it.
Great
Did you hear
effort.
me say Blanco puts it away? That's all right. It hit the inside back post. I just have to mention before we move on here, that game was so amazing. You know how many players under the age of 20 were a part of it?
A lot.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of them.
Ethan Castaneda, there's been times where something that he does in the game is exposed, or mistakes and things like that. He was amazing in this game. Last week against Jinga he was, and in this game he played really well, and I think the things that Lansing City have been investing in are starting to pay off. Gomez putting heavy pressure on. And here he is. He finishes. Ole go up by 1.
And when you think about the addition of Daniel De Leon and what he means to this team, we told you that he was the assist leader last season. The goal. Outstanding effort from De Leon to create that. Really good positioning and understanding.
We're ticking down to the final moments. Shoreline City trying to put something together. Aldoni Mendez, he's shielding off Hasevic's toe post, finds the back of the net. Shoreline's up by 1 with a minute to play.
Wow, Aldoni Mendez just showing his intelligence to shield the ball, to not let Hasevic come through, and just to prevent, I mean, Hasevic is pulling at him, just to prevent any.
Mekenzie plays it in, gets it right back. Ramsey Termanini. Weisenhunt's across. Whoa! Hold up! Ramsey Termanini from the circle.
And just like that, Jinga is back in this match. What a shot from Termanini from deep.
My.
Unbelievable. He unleashes just power.
Placement to the upper 90 back post, and the lead is ultimately asking the question, like, was this the best match of futsal on U.S. soil? From a perspective of an entire 40 minutes of futsal, two teams that are playing really good futsal. It's back and forth, but not because it's chaotic.
The intensity just kept increasing.
Yeah.
And it started at kickoff.
Very little drop-off or mistake, and they just keep playing that really good futsal. This is what it's supposed to look like right here. There's no doubt that the environment, it's a part of what makes the game what it is. But I think like this is a game that if you took all that away and you just watched the game, it would be amazing still. They're currently down 2. Here's Hindich at the near post. She slots it in. What a placement.
Yeah, fantastic.
From number 9,
placement.
Medina Hindich. So take another look.
That's what,
wow.
Ole has to be frustrated with the goalkeeping.
I was pleasantly surprised with how we did. I feel like we did compete to the level that we could. I think you could definitely tell like our lack of experience. I think some of our goals were generally just some mistakes, and I think it's like a combination of nerves and just not, having the experience playing at the pace that we were playing. It's really fast, and I think if we tighten that up, like we could have, stayed really like there with them, which is cool. I think for our first game, especially going against a team like Ole, I was really proud of the way we played.
Yeah.
Made a fantastic play. You want to make that pass to the back foot and really give your teammate an opportunity just to slot it home first time, but Aldama was not able to handle it.
Midwest are able to work it up. How about this back post? A pretty goal. Raul Montañez doubles the lead.
Look, Aldama could. And there were 3 red cards in that game. 3 red cards.
You could see it on their faces, like they would hit the post again and they'd be like, what is happening?
And they only gave up 4 goals?
But it wasn't competitive.
In 40 minutes?
It wasn't competitive.
4 goals!
A sign that a fan has made, a fan of Gavin Futsal made it. Chicago House is grabbing the sign, holding it up, and they're passing it around.
The ball sticks to his feet. Like, I don't think that you should have seen him at practice last night. He was just toying with this. I ain't gonna lie.
What level of crazy do you need to be a goalkeeper in futsal?
11. No one woke up one day and said, I want to be a keeper today. I didn't want to be a goalie.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Third Half podcast on this amazing Thursday night, brought to you by Jolt Creativity. Jolt Creativity, destroy the lie that says I am not creative. We are jumping into week 12 of the FCS this weekend. 3 games, including a doubleheader between Lansing City and Chicago House. But we do have one on Friday first. But before we talk about those games, I have a special guest that I'd like to welcome on to the show. She's been a part of the team for the FCS Women's that is currently atop of the standings with the best record and the best goal differential. They are awaiting a date to play the other team that is 2-0, but first they have a battle in Lansing this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the show Mekenzie Rogers of Chicago House. Mekenzie, thanks so much for jumping on live with us tonight.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So glad you can come on and just kind of share about your experience in futsal. I mean, it's been clear the impact you have had on your team and for this team so far. You guys are, I think I was just looking up, like something like 24 goals for and 1 goal against or something like that, putting up some crazy numbers in just 2 games in the first ever FCS Women's League. And it's clear that a lot of the game, when you're on the court, it runs through you and you're dictating a lot of things. Very, very talented out there. So tell me a little bit about where this all began for you. And before we came on the show, you were talking about how it really started in soccer for you, but you probably picked up futsal and started playing it at a competitive level sooner than most.
Yeah, I actually started futsal. I wasn't too young of an age, but I believe it was age 8. So I started on a team called Bloomingdale Lightning, and we were mostly a club team, and we like played futsal in the winter. And I kind of remember first starting out and it being a little hard to adjust. So as I kept practicing and playing games, it got a little easier for me, and I kind of fell in love with futsal, and I just had so much fun with it, and wanted to do it like every winter, and I always looked forward to all the practices and games. So yeah, so I started at 8 years old, and um, then I we actually won a national championship.
Oh, wow.
We were actually a pretty good team, and we did a lot of tournaments and we did really well. So I learned about the game a lot through my coaches. The coaches were great, my teammates were great. So we did that for about 4 years. So 4 years of playing futsal. So after 4 years, it was great. And then I think when I was 13 years old, I played for another team called Brucefa,
Okay.
and yeah, so it was the team was mostly a futsal club. It wasn't really an outdoor club, so it was mainly futsal. So I had to get adjusted to that for sure
Yeah.
because yeah, so I thought I knew everything about futsal when I joined, but like when you're a kid you think you know everything, but I didn't know everything. So
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I learned about how to be creative on the ball and, you know, play differently. And my coach, he was from Brazil, so
Oh,
he
wow.
yeah, he
What was
taught
his
me
name?
a lot. His name's Claudio, Coach Claudio, so
Claudio.
shout out to
Okay.
Claudio.
Wow. Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, so he kind of introduced me to creativity and flair, and he really like wanted all of us to play um really loosely because he thought
Mm.
that really helped with our game. So like in practices, he would sometimes make us dance. Like he turned on some music and have us dance. Yeah,
Wow.
to make us loose. Yeah. So
The
uh,
Claudio dance. That's amazing.
yeah, yeah. So it was honestly hard at first adjusting to it because I kind of was with a different team and it was different environment, different players, different coaches, but I learned so much from both teams and both coaches. Both of them are great. My Bloomingdale coach was named Coach Frank, so shout out to Coach Frank.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I honestly wouldn't be here without both of them because they both taught me so much about the game and made me fall in love with it. So, yeah, I'm really glad to be doing this, and I I love to see how much the game has grown and become more popular over the years because when I was 8, like it wasn't that popular. It was popular, but not as popular as it is now. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm kind of glad I stuck with it, and I still have the same love and passion I do have for
Yeah.
it right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, you're a big piece of, this sport growing and reaching more people. I mean, the first ever
Hmm.
FCS women's division, you're a piece of that. You're
Hmm.
a key player on one of the top teams right now. So you're a piece of that. That's pretty cool.
Hmm.
You mentioned early on that there was an adjustment from like at an early age to the game of futsal. What would you say
Hmm.
were like the biggest adjustments for you?
I'd say the biggest adjustment was the space I have on the field and I had more time on the ball outside. So in futsal, like the court is obviously way smaller than outside. So you have less time to think and less room to dribble and stuff like that. So getting adjusted to that, it was like one of the main things I struggled with back then.
Yeah.
But once I got the hang of it, it actually helped me like translate those skills onto the field and help me grow and get used to like players, coming at me and getting out of tight spaces. So yeah, it's great that futsal like teaches you how to like translate those into the outdoor game and help you grow as a player.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you mentioned your second team, one of the things that I really saw was you mentioned this emphasis on being able to take a risk and playing loose. You know, I would say one of the markers of the game of futsal is you're always under pressure. You're always under a microscope. You can't hide, and you have to be willing to take the risk. Was that a big adjustment for you? Like, were you the type of player that liked to be more safe, and it was like hard? Because like that was when I played. That's what it was for me. So I'm curious if you had that same was it a tough transition to try to play under the pressure and take more risk?
Yeah, honestly it was because outdoor, like I was really used to like having much time on the ball and like scanning my options, but once I jumped into futsal, you couldn't really do that anymore, like because once you got the ball, there's players coming at you and you don't
Yeah.
have much time to think. So yeah, it was a pretty big adjustment, but as I said before, like once you get used to it and then once you play outside again, you're like sharper and you don't need that much time to think. So, yeah, futsal it was a big adjustment from playing outdoor to then going to play futsal. So I'd say just the space and time, and yeah, it's been great because it definitely translates to um on on the uh on the court. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, so and kind of on that front, when I was talking with you before we went on air, for you, futsal is like you really enjoy the game, but your main thing is soccer, and it's really helped you develop for soccer, and you're even have been recruited to go play at MSU this fall. So tell us about that experience, the being recruited, and how excited you are to go play for their team this fall.
Yeah, that's been a dream of mine since I was a kid. I've been dreaming of going to play D1, and futsal has definitely helped me out with that. And futsal has helped me be comfortable in tight spaces and comfortable um, with my decision making. So I feel like futsal has played a major role in getting me to where I am, and I'm really excited to go play there for sure.
That's awesome. And what do you play in the outdoor game? What
I
position?
play midfield, center mid.
Center mid. Okay, I was
Yes.
gonna guess that. I don't know why. I was like, I
Yeah.
feel like she's a center mid. It just seems like it. You got some fans in the chat. Chicago women are fire. They look unbeatable. Probably your teammates. They're all saying, "Let's go, Mekenzie." They all said the same thing. And then another one, yay, Mekenzie. Good to see you on the podcast. So you got some fans watching tonight. Okay, so great. So that was kind of how you got into futsal. What's coming up for you this fall to play at MSU, playing in the center mid. And by the way, she told me that it was since she was a sophomore, she was recruited. So it's been kind of been like a waiting process. I'm sure you've been anticipating it for a while.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the process was great for me. So I took a visit up there, and it felt like home. The coaches were great. The team was great. The culture. So when I went there, I kind of knew that's where I wanted to be.
Yeah, wow. So cool. So that kind of brings us to recently when you started to play with Chicago House. Was there a gap between the most recent futsal team you played for to now playing with Chicago House this year?
Yeah, it was a major transition because Chicago House obviously has, it's a semi-professional club, and there's more exposure, and it's like we go to Michigan because like, we travel by bus, and my old futsal we didn't have any of this because I like mostly played for fun, but
Yeah.
now it's like we have the stats and the commentating and the live stream, so it's very different, but it's all been great. So this was a really great decision for me, and I really love this club and being here.
That's really awesome. So is this your first year having any involvement with the Chicago House Club?
Yeah, first year.
Okay, gotcha. I heard that there is a fairly large group of you all on the team that play club together. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah, and some of them I grew up with since I was 8. They played on my
Oh,
old futsal team. Yeah.
oh, wow. Who played on your
Uh-huh.
old futsal team when you were 8?
It was Brianna Gutierrez
Okay,
and Jimena and Lauda. She joined a little bit later, but yeah, she
okay.
played futsal with me. But most of these girls I grew up with, and we still have that same connection that we
Wow.
had back then, and it's still here. So
That's awesome. That's so
yeah.
cool. Um, do you have any goal celebrations planned for this weekend? That was a question. A question from your teammate. You can guess which one.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna guess Evelyn probably.
It was Euridia.
Oh, Yuri. Yeah, but Evelyn, she's been talking about goal celebrations, how we need to spice things up after we
Yeah.
score. Yeah. But we're gonna get on that, so you're gonna have to wait and see.
You have to wait and see. All right, sounds
Yep.
good. Sounds good. We'll make sure the cameras are ready in the arena for you guys. That's
Yeah.
something we try to like communicate with teams. Like hey, like when you score, you can go and like celebrate in the camera or whatever. It's a fun time. But okay, cool. So more about that upcoming game. First, let's talk about what your experience has been like so far on this team. It's only been 2 games, even though we're kind of like halfway through the season, so to speak, for a lot of the men's teams. You guys have only played 2 games. One home, one away against Shoreline and Lansing. Haven't faced Olay yet, and but probably a lot of time of practicing. So tell me a little bit about what your experience has been so far, and anything that has like stuck out to you in these first months of the season.
Yeah, joining House was an amazing decision because it's all been really great. The environment and the coaches, if you ever have a question or if you need something explained, like the coaches are great and they're always there to support you. And the team, I feel like we're all a family and we all have a great connection off the field as we do on the field. So our bond, it definitely shows on the field because we're really close. So it shows on the field. And yeah, so House has just been great and it's just so supportive and everyone's been so great. And also the boys team has been great. They're really supportive too because we actually practice with them and they challenge us and at our games they're super supportive. So the whole House experience has been great.
Yeah, I had a chance to speak with you about when you guys travel. Whenever you have a doubleheader, you guys are traveling like
Yeah.
all the team together, and we even saw it in the game when you guys were playing at Shoreline. It became like both games kind of became a home match for you guys because of the support of you for their team and the guys' team for you guys. Tell me about what that experience has been like traveling with the guys' team and the support that you guys are able to give each other.
Yeah, we're all just a team. We're all one, and to be able to have that support from our boys side, it definitely motivated us in the game, and it was really great. And we tried to cheer louder than them. I don't know who was louder, but yeah, it was great. So yeah, we all support each other. We all want each other to succeed. So yeah, it's all just super supportive over here.
Awesome. So I want to talk about this game you guys have coming up. But first, the 2 games you guys had, did you have any favorite moments of your game either against Shoreline or Lansing at home?
Uh, I say my favorite moment. I'd say my hat trick against who was it? Against Lansing. Yeah, to be able to come in and just provide 3 goals for the team, it felt pretty good. And definitely the 2 wins we have so far. Always winning is fun. I love to win with the team, and yeah, I just say my 3 goals and being able to provide for the team, and yeah, winning always feels good. So we're doing pretty good, and it's got to take it one game at a time.
Yeah, we're speaking of one game at a time. I actually have a question about something that is to come later. So from the chat, Mekenzie Chicago has taken the women's division by storm and you're looking unstoppable, but you haven't faced Olay yet. What do you think it's going to take to defeat the women's Olay team?
Yeah, we all just gotta have the same mentality of playing hard and playing to our standard. Yeah, they're a pretty good team. We have the same record, 2-0. So we just gotta go in and play how we know how to play.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. And before that one, you guys have the one against Lansing this weekend, traveling into the Lansing City Arena. And this is a team that you guys beat. It looked like it was a pretty comfortable win for you guys, but the second half was a lot closer. I think the scoreline in the second half was pretty close after you guys got a big lead in the first half. What are you thinking is going to be, what do you think is going to be the greatest challenge for you guys coming into the arena on Saturday?
I think our biggest challenge is, going in with the mentality of, like I know we won our first game against them, but like going in like not too cocky or confident and just playing to our standard and not dropping our level. So doesn't matter who we play or where we play, we just gotta, just play how we know how to play and do all the little things right. So yeah, I just think the biggest thing is all our mentalities have to be the same of just playing the way we know how to play.
Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, you had a chance to. I mean, obviously you saw Lansing City when they came to against you guys, and they played last week against Shoreline. I think you had a chance to see some of that game. Do you feel like there's any players in particular for Lansing you're going to have to look out for?
Um, I know that they introduced a girl from Venezuela. That's what I heard. That she's pretty good and she's has some professional experience. So I guess looking out for her and the whole Lansing team, they're pretty aggressive. So yeah, just being able to handle that.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. So yeah, this will be the second time that these two teams are meeting in a 3 weeks time span. It's the first half of the doubleheader. Anything that you're looking forward to in the rest of the season after this game?
I'm excited for every game. I'm excited to play with the team for as much as I can. Before I go off to college, being with this team every day, every practice, it's been great. So I'm just looking forward to the rest of the season, everything.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you jumping in on the show tonight, checking to see if there was any more questions. I think that was it from the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, Mekenzie Rogers of Chicago House, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Mekenzie.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you got it. It was great to chat with you. We're going to go to a quick ad break in a moment, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about the other games that happened this past weekend, as well as the ones that are to come, including the one that this lady is playing in this weekend as the women house team takes on Lansing City inside the Lansing City Arena. That's all to come, so don't go anywhere. They're currently down 2. Here's Hindich at the near post. She slots it in. What a placement.
Yeah, fantastic.
From number 9,
placement.
Medina Hindich. We take another look.
That's what,
wow.
Ole has to be frustrated with the goalkeeping.
I was pleasantly surprised with how we did. I feel like we did compete to the level that we could. I think you could definitely tell like our lack of experience. I think some of our goals were generally just some mistakes, and I think it's like a combination of nerves and just not, having the experience playing at the pace that we were playing. It's really fast, and I think if we tighten that up, we could have, stayed really there with them, which is cool. I think for our first game, especially going against a team like Olay, I was really proud of the way we played.
Yeah.
Made a fantastic play. You want to make that pass to the back foot and really give your teammate an opportunity just to slide it home first time, but Aldama was not able to handle it.
Midwest are able to work it up. How about this back post? A pretty goal. Raul Montañez doubles the lead.
Look, Aldama could not handle the pass to put it away himself, so he said, you know what, Montañez, I'm going to give it back to you, Raul. With a little back heel flick, just roll over, give it back to him. Montañez.
You're watching the Futsal Champions Series on FCS Live.
Sliding tackle, and if Montez saved that, outstanding effort as well.
Lansing City in the attack, moving it. Blanco, did he make it? He did, says the referee. Goal number 4 for Lansing City. They pull ahead.
It was a pass to Blanco.
Yeah, Blanco
got
touched
it.
Yeah,
Oh,
Blanco
wow.
touched it.
Great
Did you hear me
effort.
say Blanco puts it away? That's all right. It hit the inside back post. I just have to mention before we move on here, that game was so amazing. You know how many players under the age of 20 were part of it?
A lot.
Oh my goodness.
a lot of them.
Ethan Castaneda, there's been times where something that he does in the game is exposed, or mistakes and things like that. He was amazing in this game. Last week against Jinga he was, and in this game he played really well, and I think the things that Lansing City have been investing in are starting to pay off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the third half podcast. Just ahead of week 12 in the FCS. We just had a segment with Mekenzie Rogers of Chicago House. If you missed it, go back and check it out. Reminder, this show is sponsored by Jolt Creativity. Jolt Creativity, destroy the lie that says I am not creative. All right, we got some games to go over. Games from the past and games this weekend. 3 games this weekend. Before we get to those, let's take a look at what happened this past weekend. A couple of 12s, you'll notice. First one, Lansing City 12-0 over Shoreline, handing Shoreline their 3rd big loss of the year. Lansing City improved to 1-2, and Shoreline are still looking for a result. For Shoreline, I think the story really hasn't changed. They're waiting for their moment to break through. It's been tough. Results have been largely not in their favor. But how do you fight through that? And how do you continue to improve and set your sights on success that maybe is not defined how maybe you want it to be defined by standings or how many goals you're giving up, but can you find success in a different way, and can you continue to work at it? Very interesting. I had a conversation with some of the coaches before the games this weekend for the women's team, the Lansing Chicago, and one thing that was mentioned is that this league is so new that there is so much opportunity, and you really can't afford as a coach of one of the teams to take anybody as, okay, this team has been beat 3 times by double digits or around there, so we're going to take them lightly. There's just no room for it because of how new the league is and how fresh the teams are, how quickly people can respond and learn. And there's even some of these teams, they're in the situation where some games that they've played in the past, they've have a limited number of practices or a limited number of player availability. So this is all something that's a part of the FCS women's division, and it's really cool that all these teams, this is their opportunity to kind of write what FCS women's looks like. It's the very first year, and for all of them, they get to write their own story, and they get to write what the league looks like. For Shoreline right now, it's not going the way they want it to, but they got to say, okay, what can we find to improve, and can we see success by certain margins by the time we get to the end of the year? A loss here definitely gives them a tough place. The disadvantage when trying to make the playoffs is the top 3 will move on and 1 will be eliminated. They still absolutely have a chance. They're only halfway done with the year, but Lansing with that win and how things have been going so far, they do have the advantage. A couple players I wanted to mention for the Lansing City side. We got to see Valeria Velasquez for the first time, a player that we've talked about before, and she looked good. I think she looked like she has a rocket of a shot. Like it was crazy. She took a penalty from 10 meters out that was just basically no chance. It was placed very well, and she looks a little bit rusty. And I think as the season goes on, if we start to see that rust come off, I think she's going to be even looking more and more dangerous. But the talent and ability, you can tell, you can see. It's like the way that she really wants to play. It's like her fitness and her rustiness just hasn't quite caught up with how she wants to play. And so I think she could have a really big impact as the year goes on. Of course, Jenna Lee, we've talked about her for Lansing City before. She continues to be a workhorse for Lansing City and has a lot of play go through her. But another player, Madison McCarthy, this one was particularly singled out by Coach Conrad Gonzalez in a conversation with him, saying her improvement in how she's playing, and he would love to see her continue to play at the level that she did this past weekend, and thinks that she'll be a real threat for teams if she continues to do that. On the other side, for Shoreline, one player really stuck out to me was number 7, Vivi Morales. I thought that she was just kind of she did a lot of good for Shoreline, even though it ended up 0-12. It's like, what good's there? Well, I felt like she, as an individual player and playing a part of this team, there was a lot of good that she did. She was in correct positioning, and you just kind of found herself. She was the one that was creating a lot of the opportunities that they did have. She was the one that was comfortable with the ball and kind of anchoring this team. So I think that's definitely a player to look out for the Shoreline squad. Not sure when their next game is, but for Lansing City, of course, it's this weekend against Chicago House. Now on to the men's side, the first of the 2 from this past weekend. Here's the other 12, Midwest United winning big in Ohio. Innovation having another big loss, and Midwest improving to 2-3-1. Looking at that record for Midwest, this is probably the most surprising thing about what you see on your screen is the 2-3-1 for Midwest, especially if you were to think coming into the season, would they be 2-3-1? You know, they're two-time finalists in the FCS. They're looking to go back for a third straight year. They have had success in the FCS in the past when they were Amigos. They've won championships. And they have a really talented team. I mean, Fikret Hasevich, Alan Lemus, Isaiah Meyer, I'm looking at it right here, Anthony Leone, you know, Jose Vicario, like they have a lot of talented, and there's more players that I'm, you know, not even mentioning, but they have a talented team, and I do think Midwest is better than what their record shows. I think their really only bad loss, in my opinion, is against Chicago House at home. I think that one was one they definitely had to win. I do think their first game of the year when they tied Shoreline, I felt like that was a bad tie as well. We had a conversation about them splitting halves with their goalkeeper in that case, but I think that was one that they let get away from them for sure. But I definitely think Midwest is, I think they are better than the 2-3-1 record. The other two losses, or I should say other two games not in the win column. We talked about Shoreline draw, Chicago lost. The other two teams that they lost to is Olay and Lansing, both on the road. And that's, the way that those two teams were playing. Lansing, when they played them, they were looking very, very good. And, of course, Olay is still undefeated. So I think there's a strong case that Midwest is better than their record shows. Who do they have coming up? I should take a look at what their schedule looks like in the next few weeks, because they're off this weekend. Their next game is Olay on Sunday, February 8th at 7 p.m. They actually have 4 home games, so they've completed all their road games. It's going to be 4 home in a row. Olay, Imperial, Shoreline, Jinga, all starting on February 8th, and it's one every week until the end of February. So they're going to end with a strong 4 games at home. And I would not be surprised if they have 5 wins on the year. But I do think there is a case that they might only end up with 4. If they don't beat Olay on the 8th, then that means they have to beat Imperial and Shoreline and Jinga all right in a row. And I think as good as they are, I think it's possible they could drop one of those. So, if they drop 2 of these last ones, they could end up at 4-4-1, which would be very interesting for the standings. However, they would probably still be safe because we're going to talk about this a little bit later. We do have some clarity on the very first amounts of clarity on the playoff picture because there's 2 teams with 6 losses. They can only max out at 12 points apiece. So in that regard, if Midwest United does end up at 4-4-1, that would be 13 points, and they would be able to make the playoffs for sure. But they are in a position where, I do think they are better than the record shows, but they have 4 games at home, and they definitely have to perform in them, or else they'll have to get help from other teams continuing to lose. So we'll see what happens there. For Innovation, one comment in the chat saying disappointed for Innovation, not taking anything away from Midwest, but feeling like it was right there for them. I wasn't able to catch much of this game, but it seemed like this could be an opportunity. We've talked about Innovation a lot before, and just how what they're doing is hard. And obviously the reality is they're 0-6, and they've lost a lot of kind of heavy defeats by probably 7, 8 or more. And it's tough, and it's the reality. Similar situation to like when we were talking about the women's Shoreline team. I mean, they've been getting blown out this year, and you can't cover over that and say everything is amazing, because obviously there's some big problems. But I think Innovation, they have Diego Pinto was a player that we saw early in the year that broke his foot and has been out. Luan Tufani was a player that we saw in the summer and earlier in the year that has had an impact, and he's had some issues with availability. I think this is a team that probably, if I'm Innovation, I'm committing to, I'm committing to it, and I'm going to take this year the best that we can do. And looking for a jump next year, looking for opportunities in the summer. That's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Let's see, what does Innovation have coming up? I think they have some road games coming up. Yeah, they have 1 home and 2 away. So they get to play Jinga at home. So this one, Jinga at home and Chicago House away. And then they end their season in Lansing at the Lansing City Arena. Jinga right now is a middle of the table team. Perhaps this is their last home game. This could maybe be their last real shot at a result. Maybe they're going to try to be throwing everything they can at this game that's going to be coming up here in a couple of weeks. And then they'll go on the road against Chicago House. That could be a game where both those teams are already eliminated from the playoffs. So that could be an interesting one. And then playing against Lansing City in the arena, I think it's going to be tough for them to have, a competitive result in there. In the chat, personal opinion, but I think Midwest is the second most talented team in the FCS. I mean, obviously that's not like the wildest take that I've ever heard. You know what I mean? They definitely have talent on their team, and we've seen it happen before. So I definitely think they had 2 results that were particularly disappointing, and that's put them with only 10 games in the season. Sometimes it does back you up against the wall a little bit. Let's move on to the final game of this past weekend. Imperial halts the Rolling Chicago, and they are the first to reach 5 wins in the FCS, so they're currently atop of the FCS standings. Of course, they have more games played than Ole. Ole has only played 4, so Ole, has the advantage in that case. But 6 games played, 5-1, 15 points with a plus 18 goal differential. That's where Detroit Imperial is at, and they are definitely in the gauntlet when it comes to their schedule, right? We know they opened up their year twice against Jinga, twice against Innovation. Then that big one was Lansing at home. They got the victory there, which was huge for them. They beat Chicago House. They didn't let the momentum that Chicago House was carrying affect them. Even Detroit being on the road, they took care of it. So now their last 4 games, they have Ole twice, Shoreline once, and Midwest once. So this is when things are really getting real. Rubber's really hitting the road for this game on Friday, this coming Friday. We'll talk more about what's to come for them. A couple of players that I thought were great in this game. Davide Apoche has been playing really good. He had, I think, 4 goals and assists in this game, something along those lines. He has been looking comfortable this year. He's been looking composed this year, and I think he's looking better than he was last year. That's really, to me, I think the story for Detroit is one of the stories is I definitely think they're better than they were last year. I think we're seeing that from a lot of teams in the league that were part of it last year, that we're seeing this improvement. I look at a player like Kevin Rodriguez. This one was pointed out by Coach Pierce Brannigan to me in a conversation earlier this week. Kevin Rodriguez is starting to step up. I took note of him in this last game when I was calling it. I felt like I was starting to really see that number 7 popping up in offensive attacks, and I think he was maybe playing up at the pivot sometimes, holding up the ball. This is a better team than last year, and more on that in the Ole matchup, because I kind of had some thoughts on that. But for Chicago House, they're obviously this puts a pretty big wrench into them trying to get back in the playoffs. They can only max out at 12 points now. They're not out of it. There are teams that can still only get to 12, and their game this weekend is actually a huge one because Lansing City is a 3-3 team right now. So if they are able to beat Lansing City both times, even though obviously they probably have to win both their games. I don't know if that's actually a have to. There are 5 teams with at least 9 points right now, and Midwest has 7, and they have 4 more games to play. So it's very, very likely that Chicago House has to win both their next games to have a chance at the playoffs. But obviously this one against Lansing is going to be big. More on that in a bit. But obviously in this one, disappointing for them to have that momentum come to a halt. Imperial really, I felt like Imperial controlled most of this game. I didn't really feel like there was moments where it looked like Chicago was definitely competitive, and the game could have gone their way had certain things, it wasn't just a matter of a couple of things and the game could have turned around. I feel like Imperial was in control of this game most of the way, and Emerson Mana is still the best keeper in the league, I think. He still is incredible. He still is coming out, and his positioning is amazing. That was the thing that I think I saw particularly from him in this game was he just knows when to come out, how far to come out, and his positioning is just amazing. He is absolutely a player that can swing a game for sure, and we've seen him do it before. So that's the games from this past weekend. See another comment in the chat. Glad Chicago showed they can win. The first part of the season was pretty tough for them. Yeah, I think it's important for them that they were able to get wins against teams like Lansing City and Midwest. The talent that we've seen on those teams, the ability we've seen on those teams, I think that gives them confidence and makes them feel like, in spite of the in some of the games, pretty gaping weaknesses, particularly on the defensive side, it gives them confidence that they do have a place and they do have talent, and if they can clean up those things, not give up easy goals, and they can have the effort, and filling in with some of these extra players, I think that's a good point. It really gives them a lot of encouragement there. Let's move on to the games that are to come. First, Ole and Detroit Imperial. This might be the circled game of the weekend. Honestly, I feel like you could circle probably any 3 of these games that are this weekend for different reasons. This one is, when you look at the standings, I mean, this is basically like top versus top. You have Shoreline is technically above Ole because they've played 2 more games. But this is absolutely a battle. I mean, if Imperial wins this game, they control the top of the standings, right? They'll have played more games than Ole, but they will have had all wins and 1 loss, and Ole will have all wins and 1 loss. So they will be in complete control up until, obviously their next games. I think they do play Ole again, so that will be that's definitely a factor. But it's huge. I mean, if Imperial wins this game, that is absolutely huge for them. I mean, I think it's huge for lots of reasons, just because Ole has not lost. They haven't lost. They've had a lot of big wins at home against teams that I thought would be more competitive. And they haven't lost in the FCS. They're still the champs, and so there's a lot of there'd be big for them to lose. But particularly for Imperial, the way they've set themselves up, being 5-1 in 6 games into the season, that's not an easy thing to do, no matter who you're playing. And they've done it. So they've put themselves in a prime spot for a huge showdown in Grand Rapids against Ole Futsal. First time these 2 teams are meeting since Ole's victory in the 2025 semifinal last year. So it's been quite some time. Like, it's almost been a year, what would be 2 months less than a year, or a month and a half less than a year. So 10 and a half months, 11 months since these 2 teams have played. So there's a lot of anticipation building up, a lot of excitement building up between these 2 squads. In my conversation with Pierce Brannigan, it's like, he's like, we want it to be Friday already. Like, we're ready to go. We're so excited to play Ole. Like, these are like the moments that you circle, and these are the big ones that you love to play. I feel like you got to give it everything. Take in the chat, think that the foul counter has to be ready to go. We'll see. These 2 teams have had in the past history of composure issues, history of complaining to the refs and talking with each other, red cards sent off. And that's something that probably, if you talk with players from both sides, and fans from both sides especially, you'd probably hear people thinking maybe they got slighted or things that weren't fair, and that's part of the context of this game. And it is definitely going to be very important that the officiating of this game is on point, and it's kept under wraps, under control, I should say. For Ole, I mean, it's like, as long as this win streak goes, it's like, what other story is there other than they continue to play well, they continue to get it done. Their most recent game was actually very close in the scoreline against Shoreline. They were able to get it done, but like, they still are who they are. They still have probably the best coach in the league, and they have 3 lines of players that are very good, and they play a good system. They, score at the back post a lot. Detroit's definitely going to have to defend that. Detroit is definitely going to have to not give up easy ones because they're going to be fighting for everything as far as their own points. Frankie Mendoza is very good. Andres Montes is good. And they're both 2 great, 2 of among the top keepers in the league for sure. Personally, I think Frankie might be number 2 under Mena. But, for them, it's like, we got another game at home. We're going to go out and get another win. We're going to improve to 5-0. And we're going to do it with a statement and show that we're still the champs and we're still the ones to beat. And right now, all the pressure is on LA because Imperial, this is their chance to throw a wrench in things into that record. And it should be a really fun one. Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Talking about Emerson. Emerson definitely, he will probably have a lot of saves in this game, and he definitely is a player that can swing a game. So I'm not going to put that, even against a team like Olay, I'm not going to put it past Emerson Mena that he can have enough of an impact to really swing the result of the game because he is that kind of player. And it may take everything. Like he might be putting up 25 plus, 30 saves, if depending on how aggressive Olay is and what kind of holes they exploit in the defense or the counters, but Mena is very good in that way. He definitely deserves that honor, I believe. Let's move on to the first of the double headers this weekend. Women's Lansing City versus Chicago House. This is one we talked about a little bit with Mekenzie Rogers when she was on the show. On paper, you think, okay, first time these 2 teams played. Let me get the score exactly correct. First 2 times these 2 played, comfortable 8-1 win. Chicago House winning at home. So you think, okay, based on how the season's been going, Chicago House should probably, come out on top in this one. But Lansing City is playing at home. They particularly did not look good when they were on the road. They looked better against Shoreline. But so as everyone else in the league right now, they put up 12 on them. They had, Valeria Velasquez, was in the last game. Is she going to be in this one? That's a question. The thing that really stuck out to me when these 2 teams played the last time was Chicago just looked way more comfortable, in my opinion, for the game. The second half, when you look at the scoreline, it was actually much closer. I think it was, I want to say it was like 6-0 at half. And it was like 1-1 afterwards. That's probably not quite right. I think I have the stat sheet here I can pull up to try to confirm. But I do remember the second half was much closer. So 6-0 in the first half, 2-1 in the second half. So was that because Chicago House kind of let off the gas and they're trying new things and more opportunities for Lansing, or was it actually closer in the second half? I think that's a good question. To answer that question, I think I'd have to go back and watch the game again. I didn't see it well enough the first time. I just felt like Chicago House looked very comfortable on the ball, and that's my biggest concern for Lansing coming into this game is Chicago House. It just looks like their players they have good futsal technique. They're receiving the sole of their foot. They're doing positive movement with the ball, and they just look comfortable on the ball. It looks like they can move the ball where they want it to go. They have technical ability like that, and that was kind of the gap that I saw. So we'll see what happens. Definitely not counting Lansing City out. Based on the way the last game went, Chicago House has the upper hand, but I don't think Lansing City was playing as well as they could play in that last one. I really don't. It didn't look like they played as good as they did in the first game against Olay. So I'm really hoping that this is a good match and it's a fun one, and I think it has the potential to be really a barn burner in the Lansing City Arena. In the chat about the last game, Emerson can only do so much, needs his defense as well. That's he definitely needs them for sure. Last one of the weekend, it's the second half of the doubleheader, Lansing City versus Chicago House, the men's side. So Chicago at 2-6, they're really on their final hope. They probably need to win, definitely need to win their last 2 games to have a chance at the playoffs. And Lansing are 3-3 with 2 straight L's. And they are looking to get back on track. So far, they have looked really good at home. They had the game against Jinga at home, and then they had the game against Olay, which they looked very good and were winning and probably the better team for most of that game, and then lost in the last few minutes. They looked very good against Midwest. Their second half, actually, they looked less good in that game, but they had built up a lead that with Midwest getting back into it, they were able to stay ahead and still win by, I think it was like maybe 4. And so they're looking to kind of get back into that. I had a chat with Coach Matt Alashari of Lansing City this past weekend or this week, and he kind of pointed out as well, like who shows up for their team. The last time they played Chicago, they had a very depleted roster. They had one player that was starting that I had never seen on the Lansing City roster before in my life. I agree. Weird that Lansing City is 3-3, like they looked really good in their first couple of games. Yeah, these 2 losses for Lansing City after how they played those first 3 games of the season, starting 2-1. I was very surprised as well that they dropped both Detroit and Chicago. Definitely thought they would at least beat Chicago, but Chicago was starting to kind of turn some things around. So do they continue to turn things around in this game? I think Lansing City, if I'm them, I want to I want to make a statement in this game, and I want to go back to playing the way that we played against Olay and against Midwest at home with that group of guys. I want to see that pace. I want to see them pressing and scoring off a transition, because that was something we didn't really see them do last year much. But this year, in the games they've played really well, they are getting goals off of pressing and transitioning. And even sometimes it's like the ball is transitioning up the floor from defensive half up. And that's been one of the most shocking things to me, because I haven't seen anybody do it that fast, and they're going so fast at certain points. Like, if I'm them, it's like we got to get back to that, and we got to do that right here and make a statement and go up big and win big against Chicago. Don't let them in the game at all. And obviously Chicago, they're fighting for any hope to get in the playoffs. Rafa Hernandez, I think, is still going to be back. He played in the last one, but assuming even more healthy for this game. Vinny Da Silva's been looking good. Jordi Mascara. Felipe Marroquin is a player that we've said a few times, but he can have an impact up at the pivot spot. We'll see what they are able to bring. Traveling is a challenge for almost all teams in the FCS, and dealing with player availability. Chicago could be in a similar position as Lansing was when Lansing came out to them, and Chicago don't have, the players that they want to have available. And we'll see what happens. But, I have a hard time thinking that Lansing is going to let something like the last couple of games happen here at home after what we've seen from them in their previous home matches against some really good teams. I have a hard time thinking that it won't be anything but that. So that is all the games from the weekend. But we have one more bonus thing before you all go. The playoff picture is starting to come into the view. We actually have 2 teams that have officially clinched playoff berths. Because of the 2 teams that are at 6 losses, they can only max out at 12 points. So Shoreline City and Detroit Imperial both have more than 12 points, so they are officially in the playoffs. Now, the seeding is a big deal, and let's actually take a look at this right now. 8 teams. The top 6 will advance, and the top 2 get a bye, and the lower seeds will host. So seeding is a big deal. Obviously, after getting in, seeding is a very big deal because you get to play at home. Of course, the finals will be played here in the Lansing City Arena, but up until then, you can get home court advantage and have your fans there and have your roster available to the fullest extent. So that's a big deal. The numbers you see in the bottom left corner of each team, that's their goal differential. Goal differential is a key in the tiebreakers. I'm pulling it up right here. I believe it's the second tiebreaker technically, because the first one, obviously the first thing is points, but then the first tiebreaker is your head-to-head games, and then goal differential. So goal differential could play a factor in seeding. Right now, the bottom 2 teams right now, 7 and 8, Chicago House and Innovation, as mentioned, they can only get a maximum of 12 points. So both Detroit Imperial and Shoreline City have clinched playoff berths. with 15 and 13 points, respectively. Olay, with any result this weekend, they will improve to 13 points, and they will be in. Lansing City, with a win, will have 12 points, so they will be not for sure in, but they will be well on their way. And that's us for Chicago House. We talked about them. They have to win out and get to 12 points. But that's kind of how it's looking for right now in the playoff picture, and we'll see that kind of become more and more clear. First look here at Week 12. The postseason will begin in March. There'll be a quarterfinal, a couple quarterfinal games. First two teams get a bye. The winners of the quarterfinals play the semifinals at the location of the two teams that got the bye. And then, of course, the final will be in Lansing. So we're already able to start talking about playoffs, everybody. How cool is that? We're getting to that point where still a lot of futsal left to play, but most teams have played at least 6 games. So we're over halfway through, just about 2 months left of the FCS. What is it? It's January 22nd right now, and I believe the final is like March 28th or something. So, oh my goodness, we're about just 2 months away from the end of FCS 2026. And that's it for the show tonight. We have reached the end of Week 12. Friday is the first one, 8:30 p.m., and then a doubleheader on Saturday. So don't miss out and catch those games. Thank you so much for tuning in to the third half tonight. Hope you all had a great time. And again, if you missed that interview with Mekenzie Rogers, go back and take a look. Great to hear her story. She's going to be playing in the outdoor game, D1 at Michigan State this fall is the plan. So that's pretty cool. And, of course, they play Lansing City this weekend in that doubleheader. I'm Jared Kleppel saying see you later. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on Friday at 8:30 p.m.